We are live. Okay. Brilliant. Okay, so we are now live on YouTube. So for all of those checking in on us, thank you. This is our first ever live stream of Archaeologists in Quarantine. Today I'm joined with Maria, who is a Near Eastern Archaeologist. I keep getting this muddled. I realized last night that I said Far Eastern, so I keep muddling this. I don't know why, so I do apologize in advance if any of my questions I end up saying the wrong one. So Maria is a Near Eastern archaeologist. So Maria, what is Near Eastern archaeology?
Well, Near Eastern archaeology is, as archaeology, the study of the Near East. So it's the Near East is consisting of a lot of countries, which is, let's see if I can remember all of them. You have Egypt, and you have Iran, Iraq, also Mesopotamia it's called. Then you have Israel, Palestine, Lebanon, Syria, Jordan, and then you have Anatolia, so better part of Turkey. So that's what we call the ancient Near East. So today, in geography, you'll probably include more countries in the Near East, for example, Saudi Arabia. But for archaeology, when you study the ancient Near East, those countries are not in it. So it's a bit different, yeah.
I was going to say, what time period are you looking at, generally speaking? Yeah.
Oh.
Well, in general, even in the study, like.
Oh, in general, well, I guess like it's different because like for me, we started around like the late Paleolithic, Pleistocene. But I guess like other places you can start even further back with the first anatomical modern humans. But we started like late Pleistocene and with the Ep1 in the Levant area, Anatolia and also Mesopotamia, with the introduction of agricultural societies. So yeah, so that's where, well, that's how I was taught, you could say. So.
And is there like a particular area that you focus on?
Yes, so I focus on what is called the pre-Pottery Neolithic, which is when agriculture comes around in the Near East. And I've especially looked at the Levant, so that's Israel, Lebanon, Jordan, Palestine, Syria, but mainly Jordan and Israel, also because like there's, if I ever want to go and dig there, those are the countries most available at the moment because of wars, of course. But yeah, so that's what's the timeline there? That's always a good question. So we're back, yeah, 12,000 to 8,500 years ago. So yeah, it's pretty old, and it's a long period that's divided into sub-periods. So you have pre-Pottery Neolithic A, B, and you have pre-Pottery Neolithic early B, middle B, and late B, and then also pre-Pottery Neolithic C. So yeah.
So for anyone that's not an archaeologist, how could we maybe describe that? So, because this is quite a vast time scale, but like in a bit more simplified, I don't know, because it's, even for me, I rarely hear the term.
Yeah. So. Well, which term? The pre-Pottery Neolithic?
Yes.
Yeah, so I don't know why, but this is like, it's a very interesting period because you have agriculture coming up. So you would think like, oh yeah, this term we really should know, but we just know that it's the Neolithic, most other people. But what happens in this period is that you have agriculture, and that leads to the first villages actually. So we have so-called mega sites where up to 3,000 people live together for the first time ever. So you have like, instead of this hunter-gatherer living different places, you actually have people settling down. And by the end of this period, there's this mystery thing happening where these mega sites gets like people just walk away. They don't want to live there anymore. And they start living in smaller communities again, which is quite interesting. And I actually did my BA on that subject.
That's really cool.
So yeah. So it's very interesting, and yeah, there's a lot of things happening in that period. I could talk about it forever, so I won't.
Sorry, my cat keeps running in and out, so everyone's going to be hearing him in the background. He's not very happy with me at the moment.
I like cats, so I don't mind at least.
Well, he's a black cat, so I mean, he fits in quite well. Really? Okay. Hello, Bagheera. I made a little cameo. Aww.
Introduce him.
Yeah, this is Bagheera. I think he's about 5.5 years old now.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's adorable, but he's pretty annoying when it comes to live feeds. He loves just showing up.
Yeah. Well.
When it comes to, okay, because we're talking about agriculture, which is quite interesting because it's so important, and I don't think people even realize how important it can be, because like for us, for me especially, it gives us an insight into how people were living in those areas at certain times.
Yeah.
Especially like the stuff that we can find. So what type of artifacts are you finding?
Well, we're finding, of course, there's loads and loads of lithics, and you find sickle blades where you can see that it's been used multiple times for cutting down what do you call crops? Sorry. Then you find silos with grains in it, of course, because if you're gonna go out and get your grains, you need a place to keep them. And then there's some pretty interesting, what would you say, ritualistic objects. And you have very interesting burials where this is like kind of famous, but I'm not sure that a lot of people have heard about it anyway, but maybe you've heard about it from Çatalhöyük in Anatolia, where they remove the skull from the burial. So often they will bury the person under the floor in their house. So they will break up the floor, bury the person underneath it, and then plaster the floor again because they use plaster. And then they will wait until the body is like defleshed. And then they will open up again and take out either the full skull or the crania. And then they will put plaster on it and decorate it. So you have like, I know there's one of these skulls from Jericho is in the Ashmolean in Oxford that has like shells in like where the eyes were supposed to be. Yeah. I love those. But yeah. And then so a lot of things are happening there. Yeah. So
I think that's quite fascinating that they're able to see that, because it's one of those things when it comes to burying the dead and the rituals kind of associated with it.
Yeah.
I like what you said earlier, the ritualistic objects. So for people that don't know, that this is kind of like a joke that archaeologists say when you don't know what it is, and it's a bit odd. Like you might find a burial of a dog or some like 2 or 3 birds underneath this interesting piece of timber. You're like, oh, it must be ritual. So it's like something that we always say.
And there's a lot of like interesting statuettes. I don't know if you can see this, but I have made a phone cover with these two guys who are joined together in a statue, and they don't really have arms or legs or anything, so they're just like heads on this block. I got a customized phone cover because that's how nerdy I am.
That's your passion. I think it's kind of like a good starting topic. Like, hey guys, you see my phone?
And then you have like, you know, small clay animal figures and stuff like that. But also an important thing about the headless bodies. Those burials are not like, you know, if you have a population about 1,500, 2,000 people over like centuries, you would expect there to be lots of burials, but there's not. So these under the house, under the floor burials are not like for everyone, or not everyone is buried that way. So, and there's not really cemeteries. Like there's one ritual site, it's called Kafat HaHodesh, which is in Israel, where you find like different types of burials that seems different from other sites. So it's like ritual cemetery thing. But so there's a lot of people missing from this period actually. And it's quite interesting because sometimes you'll find a lot of these skulls together. So in Jericho, which is Palestine, they found that was Catherine Canyon. Uh, they excavated these houses and stuff, and then they found like a skull cache where there's just like skulls placed on the floor. And you're like, why do you have skulls on the floor? So there's a lot of like headless burials, and you won't necessarily find the skulls at any point. So you'll just like dig up a person and there's no head. It's kind of weird. Yeah.
I wonder how it would have been for the archaeologists who first discovered them, because you know, especially for the first few, and then you start to see a pattern, and you start to understand, hey, there is a link here, something's going on.
Yeah, and also because it happens in the whole region, so you have it like all like you have it south, and then you also have it in Anatolia. So it's not like it's large, a large region, many thousands of kilometers, where you just have like the same thing going on, which is quite interesting that it's so spread, widespread.
So I remember seeing something on your feed. I think it's more to do with burials. Would you say your research focuses on that as well, in the sense of?
Oh yeah, definitely. My research is human remains and pre-pottery Neolithic and children. So at the moment, I'm writing up my master's thesis, which is difficult in pandemic times, but and that is about I'm creating basically a meta database where I collect data from pre-pottery Neolithic sites of child burials, and then put them in. It's for the whole Near East, so I put them in a database and analyze if there's similarities, dissimilarities between how infants and children were buried, because there's not a lot of work done on this. So I wasn't able to get my hands on actual bones. So this was kind of the second option me and my supervisor kind of thought of. But yeah, so it's very interesting to sit, like I'm looking at a lot of sites, and there's not a lot of information necessarily on children, because you have the old sites, or the sites that was excavated many years ago, and back then the opinion was that children didn't really matter, so you would just kind of not register very well. So you wouldn't register like position or placement or anything. You would just like write child, and that was it. So that's the difficult thing right now, is to like figure out like how to collect the data when it's not that kind of. And a lot of those people who excavated, they're dead now, so I can't just write an email, hey, do you have extra information on this? So yeah. There's some obstacles, but yeah.
How do you find, so for example, something I've noticed when I've tried to do research of certain excavations in other countries, I've noticed sometimes it's quite difficult to find something in your, like, you know, something translated. It could be like 3-4 different languages of sites very close by, and then you have to kind of get them translated to before you can even correlate them. Has it proven a little bit difficult with the language, or has it been okay?
No, it's been okay. Like I have one, I don't remember which site it is right now, but that site, the whole thing is in French, and I don't speak French. I had French for 5 years, but I don't understand, speak, or read it anyway. So That's a bit difficult. So like I know how to like write child. So I just search in the document, and then when there's a place where it says something with an infant or child, I just Google translate it, that part of it. That's basically what I'm doing with that. But no, most of it is in English, luckily. But yeah, the Near East has a weird history because like the French were there, the English were there. So like the archaeology was very much based out from a very colonialistic point of view, of course. So like I think if you go way, way, way back on the whole really old excavations, you'll get a lot of it is still in French, for example. But I haven't had a lot of trouble yet, so that's really nice.
And at least with French, it's pretty easy to get it translated if you need it.
Yeah. It's more like if it's in Arabic or something, I will have to send it to a friend in Palestine and ask him to translate or something, which is like a bit difficult. Like, hey, I'm sending you photos, or like I'm sending you something in Arabic. Can you please translate 40-page long excavation report for me?
Pretty pleased with the cherry on top. I'll mention you in my acknowledgements. Like, but it just reminded me. So when you've done excavations, what was like your most favorite site? Just your favorite site? Because I guess this year you can't go. Unfortunately, I assume you're not able to go this year.
It's really difficult because I've been on very different sites. So like my first time was in Jordan, which was amazing because Jordan, it was like the first time I excavated. So of course that will always like have a special place. And it was the first time I was on the survey. And everything was new. So that's amazing. But it wasn't that relevant to me, I found out later, because it was like Bronze Age and no human remains. So like in my this was on my like right after my second semester. So on my third semester, I was like, okay, my second year was like, okay, I want to do human remains. So I found a field school where there was like an introduction to bioarchaeology in Cyprus. So I went to Cyprus for 2 weeks during the spring. So that was like my introduction to human remains. So that's very special too, but that wasn't really an excavation. And then I went to Rome the year after and excavated cremated bones from urns that couldn't be removed from the necropolis. So we had to like dig really weirdly. So that was amazing too, because that was also my first time in Rome, and I'm in love with Rome now. So that's, and then I've been to Spain a couple of times on Neanderthal sites. So that's also very exciting. And digging inside of a cave and like, that's pretty exciting. So, and then last year I went to Israel for 3 months as part of an internship. We have to do internships in my degree, like a 3-month full-time, 37 hours week. So my supervisor, he was really nice. I went to him and was like, I need to do an internship. I would really like to go on excavation. And he was like, okay, I'll write some people and find you something. So I basically just got it handed to me, this excavation. It's called Motza, Motza. And it's a pre-Pottery Neolithic site. So that was the first time I actually went to a site that had something to do with my research. And I was just digging up human remains, actually. So every time someone found a bone, me and my friend Ahmed, we would go and check if it's animal, if it's human. And then we would be like, okay, we need to start digging here. And then, it would be different if like sometimes we'd work together, sometimes alone. So I basically did that for 3 months. And I excavated what was it? Bronze Age tomb? Yeah, it was Bronze Age. So yeah, the thing was that like, because it was a rescue excavation, so they dig year round. So, and you have these really heavy rainfalls during the winter in the Middle East. So when I arrived in early April, some of the trenches, because they were like 2-3 meters deep, they're just still almost full with water, the already excavated ones. And so the tomb I was actually excavating, even though it was in June, I think, it was still muddy, and it was like filled with flies and mosquitoes because they had just had a really nice life down there because it was covered up, and they were just like, yes. So yeah. But
yeah, it's good to keep it protected, when the archaeological deposits, like
yeah. So yeah, that was so I can't really pick one because they've all been so different. I've learned something new from all of them, and like, yeah, so, and they're all in different countries, and you know, it's difficult to say like this is my favorite because they've all been amazing. Just that way. Yeah,
it's really cool. Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things, because I guess when people really do think of archaeology, it's the dream to be able to travel and excavate around the world,
yeah,
with locals, get to really experience the culture, and of course to hopefully find something significant, or even
definitely.
just to broaden your horizon, like just to,
Yeah.
oh, it's just one of those amazing feelings, even if you're just looking at the same thing for like a month, 2 months, and it could be like 45-degree heat. It just still makes it all worth it when you look back.
Yeah.
Not at that
Yeah.
time, but when you look back.
No, but like definitely, I enjoyed all the days I was there. I had one sick day because I had something with my stomach, and I was like, shit. And my boyfriend visited me while I was there, and I was like, it's not to be rude, but I actually really miss work. Like he was there for like 10 days, and I was like, I actually really miss work. And I brought him one day to the site. I had to be, I think we had to be at work at 6, and someone came and picked me up every day. So I was like up 5:30 every day, and like, because I was like, I'm not gonna shower before work. I'm not gonna, like, I'm just gonna put on my dirty clothes and leave. And yeah, but every day was like, I looked forward to every single day I was there, in Israel. And it was, yeah, it was just amazing. And I would skip lunch breaks because I would forget about it, because I would, if I worked alone, I would be listening to a podcast, because you're working 8 hours and you're sitting alone inside a tomb, for example. It gets a bit boring, especially because all the workers there speak Arabic and no English, and unfortunately I don't speak Arabic, so you're pretty much alone, a lot of the time. So I just listen to podcasts, often about serial killers or murder, which is kind of weird when you're digging up bones. And then, you know, I would just forget. So, like my friend Ahmed, I mentioned before, he would sometimes text me or call me, like, remember to take your break. It's now. And I'm like, oh shit. So, like, I got really focused. So, every day was just like, I always look forward. So, yeah.
That's awesome. So there's something I've noticed now online. You have collaborated with Save Cultural Heritage Group.
Yes.
On Instagram, it's at SCHGPK. So I've noticed, yeah, you've collaborated with them for a 6-week online course. Could you give us a little sneak peek into what people can expect?
So it's, as you said, 6 weeks, and it's about Near Eastern archaeology. And it's for all people, because I'm trying to do it. It sounds maybe like kind of basic. So I'm trying to just give like a good introduction to the Near East. And so far, I have been a bit behind because, well, I've uploaded so far a lecture on the history of the archaeology in the Near East, because that's kind of important, I think, to know the history of it. So next up will be the early Holocene period in Egypt, because I'm gonna divide Egypt a bit from some of the other areas, because it's a bit different. They're a bit behind with some stuff, and they don't have the exact same cultures always. So yeah, it's going to be 6 weeks, and there's going to be written lectures, because actually I'm not the biggest fan of being on video.
No?
But it's going to be, yeah, 6 weeks and written lectures, and then I'm going to do like questions and answers once a week, and then they're going to get assignments, not big ones, because people are homebound right now, and some of the people who's doing this might also work on the site. So it's going to be like answer these 5 questions or write a 1 to 2 page essay about one of these 3 areas.
So
like,
nothing too serious.
not at all, and they don't have to go out and find information themselves and stuff. Also because that's the difficult thing. Most of the articles and books I use is not available to everyone because I have a uni login to libraries and stuff, and maybe these people don't. So like, yeah, I'm trying to find, like on OnePlus and stuff, trying to find articles that relates to the subject and relates to what I've written. But yeah, they're not going to have to go out and find their own material. I just want to be sure that they got what I was trying to teach them. If I feel that I succeeded.
I think, yeah, it's really nice that you're able to do this online course and it's for free and it's just for anyone who wants to do it. So I think it's really great. It's great how they've set it up. So I'm guessing you just go into the website or you can go into their Instagram account. I will tag in the YouTube post. So anyone who's interested in learning about the Near Eastern Archaeology with Maria, all you have to do is click on the link. It's 6 weeks long. Don't worry if you don't do the assignments. I don't think she'll mind. She might not pass you.
I'm actually not sure how they feel about it. Like, I'm okay if it's not like, maybe if I make like a question thing you can answer, but that would be good because it's 5 questions. But I understand if essays are a bit difficult. But it's actually, I'm not sure if it's up to me to decide if it's okay or not. But like, for me, it's okay.
She won't be offended if you don't.
I just want to teach people some stuff. But.
Yeah, well, that's amazing. So, Maria, it's been so much fun speaking with you, learning about. I can't believe about the burials with the heads, like missing heads. I mean, that's something I need to go and research on later. So I'm going to definitely post the link. I've seen people commenting on Instagram asking about the link, so I will upload that to everywhere that this video features on. And thank you for everyone who has joined the live feed. It's been amazing. Let's quickly see if there's any other questions that anybody has. Now is your time. But whilst we're waiting for the questions, how is it being an archaeologist in quarantine? How has it affected you? Because obviously field school.
Yeah, obviously. I was actually not probably going to go to field school this year because I was going to graduate, and then you have this system in Denmark where you get money from kind of an insurance while you're unemployed, and the state pays most of these money, but you can't really travel while you're on like the support thing because it's like you get paid day by day. So if you leave Denmark, first of all, you have to apply to get permission, and you might not get it. And then if you do get the permission, you won't get any money for all the days you're away. But so like, I was probably not going to go this year, unfortunately. But as a student, it has, because we're on full lockdown, or not full, but we've been on lockdown in Denmark for a while now. I think it's like quarantine day 42 here. So it's been a while. And in the middle of March, they were like, okay, we're going to shut down university. And that's where my library is. So I can't go to the library. And a lot of my material and sources are at the library because there's a lot of books you're not allowed to take out of the library. So that's the difficult thing for me right now, is writing my thesis without my material, basically. So that's been the hard part.
We have one question.
Yeah.
What are you doing after your MA, if you have any ideas?
Well, I'm hoping to be able to move to England. My boyfriend lives there, and I would be able to hopefully get a job in archaeology there. There's more jobs in England than in Denmark. So that's the hope, when this whole pandemic and all of this is done, that I can move there, and if Brexit allows it. So yeah. So I can stay in a bit.
We will need archaeologists. We have a shortage as it is, so don't you worry about that. And I'll be able to help anyway, give some advice on what you might need to do.
That would be nice. Otherwise, I don't know, maybe, I know they always need archaeologists in Israel. So that could also, like in Israel, you can become a supervisor on a site with a bachelor's degree. Which is not really anything you can do, at least in Denmark. But I think in Europe, like, they want you to have a master's most of the time if you're going to get an important role. So they always need archaeologists too, but I'm not sure if I'm ready to move there full time. So
well,
yeah.
who knows what the future holds?
Exactly.
Who knows, especially now with everything that's going on. I don't think anybody has a real idea.
Much more difficult to like plan ahead in any way. So it's just take it as it comes. Yeah.
So I guess for now, yeah, plans are kind of on hold, but at least you're able to work on your masters at the time being and near future projects.
Yeah.
But okay, so what time is it? Wow, we've been talking for like 35 minutes.
Really?
Yeah. So much for being 20 minutes.
Yeah. Well.
So I'm thinking what we'll do is I will like make an edited version for IGTV, and I might just ask for some photos to help us with anything.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's been an absolute pleasure speaking with you today. Again, guys, I'll put the links in the description box or the bio, especially Maria's latest project, which is with Save Cultural Heritage Group, which is awesome. I think it's really awesome what they're doing by having it free. I think that's so important right now for more people to have the opportunity to learn about archaeology from archaeologists who want to explain it for, to everyone, not just in the realms of academia. I think this is really great. So I'm really excited. I will be doing the course as well. I'm hoping to have time to do it after work.
Yeah, I'm taking it a bit chill because like it's Corona times, and I've already put out the hey, this is what we're gonna do and stuff. So like I'm not gonna pressure students either to stress them out or anything. It's gonna be a bit chill, but yeah. So
okay,
but it's
cool.
gonna be you're gonna learn something. Don't worry.
So I'll quickly see if there's any more questions coming through. I can't for some reason access the YouTube question feed, so I do apologize. I forgot you guys can see that. Yeah, so so I think we'll call it there for now, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. And I think that is it for now. So if you have any questions, you can find Maria on Instagram at Maria_archaeology.
No underscore, just one.
Not underscore. I'm underscore, that's right. At Maria is it Maria Archaeology? I thought it was underscore.
No, there is an underscore. Like, how do I not know that?
I was right. Okay, phew. Most archaeologists have an underscore there somewhere. But so we'll put your links. So if anyone has any questions about Near Eastern Archaeology, you can annoy Maria on Instagram. And thank you so much, guys. Have a lovely evening or morning or afternoon, wherever you are in the world. And we'll see you all next time. So thank you. Cheerio.